Newt's news last week was very interesting because I've got to wish you happy Hanukkah again,
Happy
of course.
Hanukkah to you, Gareth.
And last week your shtick was on Hanukkah, and you tied in Hanukkah with the environment, which is incredibly appropriate for today because overnight in Paris, on Shabbat in Paris, something like 196 countries signed an agreement on climate change, and if nothing else, I think it's a tremendous achievement to get that many countries together, albeit just a helicopter view, a strategic document, but signing a global agreement and signing it. And I think the other incredible thing about it is that it's signing it. This is a strategy for future generations. This is not a strategy for today and tomorrow. It's for future generations down the track. And to see governments doing something so far-thinking, I might be accused of being naive, that it's just a bland piece of paper that people talked about for a while, but I think it actually sets up a strategic framework for all it's worth, which will begin to bear fruit.
I think it's more a question now of how accountable each of those signatories are going to be to whatever it is that they've committed. I haven't had a chance yet to fully appreciate what this is. You're right, though. I mean, it is a moment in time, and we should reflect on how many times in the past have we actually had that many countries agree on something.
I know, and so I think that in itself is amazing.
Oh, it is. Also, that so many of those countries are currently, at war in so many other theatres, whereas the environment, I suppose, is that common denominator. Which, well, what are we arguing for if we haven't got anything left at the end of all of it? So,
even countries that are dominated by climate cynics.
Yes.
Have signed on.
Now I'm wondering, are we not one? Israel, when I refer to is Israel not one of the poorest performers in?
Well, there's an interesting twist with Israel, and that is that Israel was considered prior to this agreement to be a developing rather than a developed nation, and therefore it was excused from what had formerly been requirements. There was a split between developed and developing.
Do we know what
but this new agreement will now require developing and developed nations. So the changes for Israel is probably more fundamental than the changes for Australia. And being a country that's just discovering and starting to think about developing new, quite sizable gas fields, carbon fuels, it's very interesting to see what will develop in future decades in Israel.
Well, the cynic in me also would suggest that if they're developing something that's going to cost them, they're going to make some money out of it as well, because there is, of course, this whole financial system behind carbon trading, which, again, I know nothing about.
Well, this agreement doesn't, as far as I understand it, and I haven't had time to look at a lot of detail either, but the real financial twist there is setting up a support scheme for countries that need funding to be able to achieve carbon reductions. And mainly, these are mainly going to be developing nations that are not yet industrialised and don't have the same sort of power structures that we in the West have.
So to simplify it for the idiots like me, I only see climate change issues as being resolved by alternative energy. Full stop.
Correct.
Hi guys, are you guys all right here, or can I get you?
We're wonderful.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you very much.
I don't see us able to necessarily reduce the amount of coal we use unless we use more alternative energy. That's fundamentally all I guess I understand. I have to simplify everything.
We need that. The whole point is to replace carbon-based fuels with alternatives. And interesting this morning, well timed of course, is that Malcolm Turnbull announced that he was removing the ban on development of wind farms that his predecessor predecessor had put on.
Another great move.
Another great move by Tony.
Yeah, it's very noisy. Oh yeah, that'll be, that'll be a problem. The fact is, you're trying to save the planet. I got that, but I do appreciate change is a problem. Having a great wind tree right in front of your back window where you previously looked out over beautiful fields. That might be a problem.
That might be an issue. Absolutely.
Having said that, we all have to make sacrifices, and if that's a sacrifice that contributes towards lowering emissions, why not wouldn't
we could go on for hours about this. I think the issues really are there are other alternative fuels. I think that wind farms are probably the most pragmatic at the moment because there is the technology and they're working and they're in lots of countries. But I think the future is going to look at solar, and especially in a country like ours where we have so much beautiful sun. Why wouldn't
Steady on, Gary.
Why wouldn't you?
Just today. Yeah,
That's
no,
right. Why wouldn't you develop solar?
Well, we're looking at roofs in front of us of houses here. Why wouldn't you just automatically build a roof that was a solar roof?
Well, we have a mate who's an electrician. You and I.
Yes, we do.
From our shul. And he had a whole bunch of batteries accumulate power that he collects from the roof. And he's virtually off-grid.
His motor's eating anything today? Oh no, we're all free, thank you very much.
No, we're trying to look after our
Is anyone not eating this? This has been made in error. I'm going to throw it out.
That's very generous of you. I wouldn't be the right person to ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's me, they're giving it away here at last.
Yes.
That's worth a plug.
That is worth a plug. Very nice to be offered.
I know the gentleman you're referring to, but are his motives
Financial.
financial?
Financial as well. As well as.
And that was the case. If I knew that my solar panels were genuinely going to save me I don't know what I'm paying at the moment, some extortionate amount of money a quarter to. If I said $1,200 a quarter to go, what are you running? But that's right. I think that's what I'm running. If I genuinely thought the government and the electricity companies were genuine about their motives, then I'd be far more likely to invest in the battery that the government are solely willing to back that because they kept increasing this, what was a great subsidy, they kept taking away from it.
Taken away, that's right.
So we need to ask, the Prime Minister not just to make some generous remarks about planning permissions, but also about how we operate. But it would be great to have that debate with our politicians on a basic level because of a commitment that we've made in Paris, because of commitment that the rest of the world have made, and to hold them more accountable.
Of course, there's probably a simpler answer as well. If you took the politics out of it, is that we have, I think, if not the greatest, but one of the greatest reserves of uranium in the world. So nuclear power
Open door
would be an open door if you took the politics out of it. Yes, in England they've had it for decades.
I mean, there were a lot of ladies who tore their clothes outside of the nuclear power station for many years. Those ladies who were obviously scared for the future of the planet at the time, but surely they would be more scared of what we are doing with coal and gas and our various vehicles than we ever have been with nuclear. Because until Japan, until Fukushima, there really wasn't that danger.
Well, there was in Russia.
Yes, that was also true. That was also true.
So it's not as though it hasn't happened.
Only twice in my lifetime.
That's right.
Probably 2 times too many for all those poor people living around.
Exactly. And Chernobyl is something that leaves a nasty memory, and that happened in a state that is not renowned for looking after its own residents, own people. And there were a lot of people who got very ill because of Chernobyl. So it's not as though there aren't issues. There are definite issues.
Well, there are issues with planes flying in the sky not always coming down. There are plenty of risks in life that we have to take in order to ensure that we all.
It's a matter of how we can manage them.
And I think nuclear is one of them. But You know, you can have your own prejudices. There are still plenty of skeptics, incidentally. Despite this worldwide agreement that we have an issue, there are anti-skeptics in our own community that say we're worrying far too much about climate change. I suppose there always will be with big arguments like this one. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't take part in what is a really good thing for economy, because there will be new economies born through this widespread support.
Well, I mean, one of the biggest issues for Australia, of course, is that we are also one of the large suppliers of coal and gas. So, sorry about that. So, it is a big economic issue for us to try and reduce our reliance on extracting carbon materials.
It's funny for a country that's running into supposed economic stress. We've got all the world's uranium sitting right on our doorstep.
Not quite all, but
we've got enough to supply the world for our lifetime.
Yes.
As well as, but we've also got all that coal that could last for the rest of time.
Yes.
There's that much. It just needs to be scraped off the surface. It is worthy.
It's a difficult question.
It is a difficult question. It's worthy to think of it, because it is a generational thing. It's a legacy thing. We're doing something now, hopefully, that will benefit your grandchildren and their children.
Exactly.
Provided that along the way, the great wars of the world and the politics, which we can't get away from, don't get in the way of the common sense that is obviously prevailing today.
They always will. I don't think the climate agreement in Paris is going to change one thing geopolitically. Unfortunately, I think it's a nice moment in time. I think it's quite an incredible moment in time. But
and it happened at Hanukkah.
It happened on Hanukkah. That's right. Which brings it all back to your issue about. See, we're back to oil, but that's not a carbon-based fuel.
No,
oil is
just a little.
That's right.
It's a long way,
and totally renewable.
Very renewable. Yes, that's very true. Was it olive oil?
It was olive oil.
I don't try this at home, sort of thing. But
we do. We buy, and our Hanukkah uses little glass bulbs that you can buy that are filled with olive oil and a wick, and you just break off the top, and it burns beautifully.
Really?
It burns beautifully. The colour is superb.
Well,
it's really nice.
I'll make a commitment for next year that I'll try burning some olive oil just for authenticity's sake.
And of course, that's what did burn in the temple. So.
Do you know what? When I was watching the big menorah at the racecourse, Miracle of Lights celebration on Sunday last week, there's always that problem where they try to light in the wind, or they have some quite complex materials to go through to get to light this thing. But no one ever seems to plan ahead.
No, of course not.
But you know what's funny? No one's ever worried, because they'll light eventually.
That's a typical Jewish approach.
Yeah, it is. So maybe all those years ago.
What's this planning business?
Exactly. We don't need 8 days. We've got one. We'll worry about tomorrow. And guess what?
It's a Yiddish way of doing things.
Very.
Okay.